Seriously?
Yeah.
Alright, good afternoon, everybody. Yo-ho. Hello.
I just sent an email from Dave.
Oh, okay,
Hey, has this account been approved? I said yes.
Good afternoon.
Let me see if maybe you weren't on it. Maybe I just responded back to him.
Good afternoon.
Oh, yeah, my mistake.
Good afternoon. Yes, sir. Popping a little bit on that. NVIDIA purchases more. I can't talk about stocks, so do the disclosure. I am an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA/SIPC. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. My position disclosure is similar to yesterday, except I'm out of Roku. It's the only update. Out of Roku. I got all out of TNA twice today, but got back in it, and I am swinging some. Alright, cool. Disclosure is over. We got Cisco up on earnings after hours. Looks like it's helping the Qs pop a little bit. Warren Buffett bought Ulta. Glad to see Warren putting money to work, though. Everyone was a little scared just by the amount of cash he has on hand right now. So good to see these putting some money back to work. Ulta up on the Warren Buffett stake. Lulu out? I didn't even realize we had Lulu today. Doesn't really look like it's doing anything. What else? Serve I mentioned real quick. NVIDIA increased their stake. Serve popping back up. It's interesting. Anything else interesting? We got Baba JD tomorrow morning. Okay. Yeah, we've got all the 13Fs coming out with all the updated stakes, so I think that's helping to move some of these stocks. Berkshire adds position in Ulta Beauty with 690,000 shares. Wow. Hiko Corp? I'm not familiar with Hiko Corp. H-E-I? I don't know the stock at all. Chart looks good. $240-ish stock. Bought 1 million shares of it. He completely exits his position in Snowflake. Snowflake down a little bit on that. He had an incredible price in that, I think pre-IPO. He's all out of Paramount, which is no surprise. He doesn't want anything to do with this drama. And he bought Siri. It's interesting. I don't think I know anyone that pays for Sirius Radio. Josh, do you pay for Sirius Radio? Isn't that what Howard Stern's on?
Part of the car.
It's part of the car?
Yeah, it's part of the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
But yes, that's what I listen to.
Oh. LVLU, not Lulu. What? Ah, Lulu's fashion. Gotcha. Got to read the fine print there. Not Lulu. LVLU. All right, let's jump in and talk about the day. SPY's finished positive. We're up after hours, so it's hard to read exactly how much, but including the after hours move, we're up 0.5%. So it was less than that. And Cisco, I think, is helping to boost his market up a little bit. So now SPYs are up 0.5%. Qs, also including an after hours move here, are up 0.3%. I think the Qs closed pretty flat today. And the IWM's down. Russell's down 0.5%, trading about where it closed. So Qs up after hours, SPYs up after hours on Cisco. And IWM doing nothing here after hours, sitting red. Russell was relatively weak pretty much all day today, but it wasn't too bad. You can definitely see that those correlations are still there, the increase in correlations that we've been talking about. But even with that, it's been QQQ relative strength. I don't know what to point towards for that. Probably some, buying, some fun buying there in those Mag 7 stocks, a little bit more than the IWM, and also it's where your buybacks are concentrated. I'm sure that the buyback situation is helping a little bit with the QQQ outperformance. All right, so let's talk about it. So we had the CPI today. Lots of hype around today's trading session, leading to not a whole lot actually happening, right? It was kind of a boring day in some ways. It was pretty range bound. I was like had that nervous excitement feel at 8:25, 5 minutes before the CPI came out, and then it came out perfectly in line. I did that thing where I kind of put some far out bids and offers, particularly for the IWM, kind of trying to capture part of like a move, a bigger initial move, in a position that I'm already in. This is the most frustrating part of my day, actually, and it was actually crazy that it played out this way. The initial move, I think, was down before up. The low was 207.29. I had a big bid placed before the number even hit at 207.26. I didn't get filled by 3 cents. Then we rip to 211.46. So it would have been a pretty nice move on my long. But on top of that, I had a big offer at 211.49. So I didn't get filled on my offer by 3 cents after not getting filled on my bid by 3 cents. If I could have gotten 3 more cents on either side, 4 more cents on either side to ensure the full fill, it would have been really profitable. And instead, it just was nothing. I didn't get the fills, so it just is what it is. Again, CPI coming in directly in line. So on an inline number, there's no surprise there. The general expectation is going to be that you're not going to get a big directional move, that you are more likely to just get a lot of volatility. There was a decent amount of chatter, though, that the move yesterday off PPI was just so big that it was beginning to price in a even softer CPI. So we pretty much got the CPI to come in line. So anyone that was thinking that we were pricing in a softer CPI on yesterday's move, that was not correct, because if that was true, we would have actually gone down today, which we didn't. The market pretty much held in all day and went sideways. And again, considering how hyped this CPI was today, and considering how major the CPI was exactly a month ago, going back to the daily chart here, it was the CPI 1 month ago that triggered the biggest IWM move we've seen in a long time. It was the CPI 1 month ago that brought the IWM from 203.50 to 227 in a matter of days, while bringing the Qs down at the same time on the other side of the trade. So considering the move last time, the move this time was really nothing to be excited about at all. But again, it was perfectly in line. So no surprise, no harm, no foul. We have retail sales tomorrow, so we'll see if there's a chance that retail sales tomorrow gives us an even bigger move than the CPI did. But there's nothing really new, I think, to update from a fundamental perspective after that CPI. From a technical perspective, I am a little more tactically bearish now, just because of the degree of the move, how fast it was, and the fact that we're starting to get closer to our extreme extension levels on the upside. We sat pretty much all day today in no man's land, I think around $7 extended in the SPY. But not only are we $7 extended, which again is what I consider to be no man's land from a risk-reward perspective, it was after a move from 510 to 543. So it was a move from extreme downside extension to decent upside extension. So I usually count that like a little more, if you will. Like $10 upside extension is like significantly more when that move wasn't just a move from equilibrium to $10 of upside extension, but a move from downside extension, let alone extreme downside extension, to extreme upside extension. And again, we never really hit the extreme upside extension level, which I said pre-market would be like 546. Part of my game plan today was to short the heck out of the market if we got a pop to 546 on CPI or otherwise. And we never did. So we still did have a decent day trading opportunity to short. The main trade I think I called out for the day, which it turned out to not be too exciting, was to short the break of the opening low. After about 7 minutes this morning, we had an opening high on the first 5-minute bar, and we had an attempt of a pivot low on the second 5-minute bar where we were bouncing off that ADMA. And I said, if that bar can break lower, then maybe we get a deeper down move off the thought process that they have priced into this market and even softer CPI after yesterday's big upside move. So it was an okay trade. Worked out okay for the SPYs. Got a little bit of downside follow through. It was even better if you did it in the Qs, the break of that opening low. It was better if you did it in the IWM, the break of that opening low. SPYs were certainly more insulated. But that was probably my biggest trade call out of the day and my biggest focus trade of the day. Outside of that, I ended up doing very little today. I do have these swing positions on that I'm obviously managing, and as I've discussed these last couple of days, I've gotten much more market neutral as we approach bigger upside extension. That's when I want to be building more into these shorts, especially after this big of a move. It's where I want to still be liquidating more on my longs after such a big upside move that, we called that low so well. So that's kind of what I'm still doing in this area, while recognizing that the market actually still has a capacity to push. And in reality, consolidated action like what we had today is bullish. Time is a bull's friend right now. The more and longer we can hold up here, if we move sideways through time for a while up here, or if we pull back and give a higher low, that's your bull case. Your bear case is getting more difficult. Your bear case is basically you get a higher low to come in here and then you get an event. But we're running out of time for an event to come in. There's only a couple potential catalysts left after we got through CPI. Again, we've got retail sales tomorrow. We've got Jackson Hole on August 23rd, I think. And then we got NVIDIA on August 28th. But if anyone's looking for a move for a retest of that 510 zone in the SPYs back to that infamous Monday low, you probably need a catalyst to get there, and we're running out of catalysts. And again, time is a bull's friend. I still don't think that this is going to be a straight vertical up move from 510 back to 565, back to all-time highs in the SPYs. I think that there's got to be some give and take here somewhere, but we'll see. Elliott dissolves their stake in NVIDIA. Is NVIDIA moving on that? Nope, I don't care. So I think that's the update from the market perspective. Again, kind of a boring day. We had a great day trade in Google. I feel like Pat led the charge on that. Off this low for the bounce back to equilibrium. It's a cute little day trade. Pat said I think that the 5-minute RSI got to like 7 or something like that down there. Really extended, but look at the volume that was coming in. It was a news move. That was a cute little day trade. I was all out by the 80 on the 5. It's not like a few of you guys held it for a little bit of a bigger move, which kind of came in. So that was good. And honestly, outside of that, I really don't have anything for today. So much hype around today's trading session with the CPI. Pretty much led to nothing. I'm just not looking to put a whole lot of new money to work here, to be totally honest. I don't like new longs here. And the short trade, you have to be patient on. We didn't get the big upside move to short into that extension. We didn't get the hotter CPI to break us down and accelerate the VIX that you could have shorted for momentum continuation. The inline number today left us with much less to do than any other outcome, but that's just part of trading sometimes. And I'm still a big believer that one of the big keys to success in trading is to know when to push it and know when not to push it. And this is an example of this inline number without a signal on the upside with more extreme extension, or a signal on the downside with us breaking lower off a hot number to actually do anything. So, relatively quiet day. That's all that I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has, so feel free to get them posted up. Alright, not seen anything in the VTF yet, but feel free to post any questions about anything. Otherwise, It'll be a short meeting. A couple things in the YouTube from Kevin. Yesterday's PPI trend should have been a continuation, especially given how consolidated overnight. Damn the Qs. Sounds more like a comment than a question. Maybe the giveaway for a boring day was the fact that at the open we actually moved lower outside of the CPI candle, which was quite surprising. I wasn't surprised, but you gotta remember where we're coming from, and the number was in line. Overall, that CPI is positive, right? We're continuing to have inflation come down. The economy is roughly holding up while inflation comes down. So the Fed has all the signals to be able to cut into more of a soft landing type of scenario. But we're opening up $7-8 extended to the upside and inline CPI after a move that's $33 up. I think it's very hard to expect continuation on today's trading session. That was my lowest probability situation, was continuation. I thought maybe we could get a fast rip on a light CPI that would be shortable, or that we could be weak. And we were weak in the beginning of the day. Again, there was a pretty good short call out that we had on the break of the second candle, the opening low. And then we got this continuation candle here at 10:30. And I was saying to everybody in the team, if we break above the 10:30 a.m. candle, if we negate the negative Maribozu, then we probably go into a range, and I don't want to do anything. And that's what happened. By 10:45, we basically were negating that negative Maribozu. You were showing that we were not getting any sort of downtrend continuation. And once that happened, I was honestly pretty much done for the day. I didn't see that much to do outside of just, again, continuing to manage my open swing positions. So that's my feedback for you on your commentary. UVixie Bull, how do you decide on a profit target for being long UVixie puts? Well, I've been long those UVixie puts that I'm in for a while. They're probably going to expire worthless, and they've been trading it worthless for a while, but I'm just letting them expire worthless at this point, and I'm losing the premium that I paid for them, which is fine, because otherwise that trade has been working. No real answer for you on that one, to be totally honest. It was just a function of where it was trading at that time for the amount of money that those puts would cost me versus the fact that UVixie will decay over time. It's incredible, actually. What are those? They're $20 puts that I have. It's incredible that we're even at 24 in UVixie. We were just a handful of trading sessions ago at 66, and we were able to get all the way down to 24 without a vol event, a historic vol event, one of 6 that were that big of my entire career. It probably would have paid, but we had a historic vol event, and we're still healing from that. It's been incredible, the degree of just not even like a single pivot low in the VIX on the way down, which I still think that at a certain point here we have to get a little bit of a VIX pivot low that probably eventually leads to a lower high, but I would be surprised if it's just straight down from VIX 65 to VIX 13 without a single bounce along the way. But anything that can happen in markets will happen. It's the same thing when you look at the SPYs. Like I just said, I'd be surprised if we go from SPY 510 to new all-time highs without a single high or low along the way. It's generally not how markets work. But that's it. From Brett, you mentioned that you aren't looking to put new money to work. If there is a minor pullback, where would you be interested in doing that at? Near today's low or yesterday's low? I think that the SPYs is right now, and this is something that will adjust over time. I think that there's room for the SPYs to pull back to somewhere between like 532 and 535. I don't even really like 535 that much. I want a little bit more. Let me adjust that. 528 to 532. That would be the area. Have a good one, Billy. That would be the area that I would look for a pullback on the SPYs to get a little bit more excited to see if we can get the higher low to come in. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for me, for my options, I generally am holding them to near expiration, or if not through expiration, for what I do. And I'm mainly doing selling for what I do. but occasionally I'll take some bets. Popping back over to YouTube, are box orders allowed for prop traders? Was your IWM orders that missed by 3 cents considered box orders? So there are no functionalities in the trading softwares that most of us are using as prop traders that enable you to have orders that put in multi-orders into the market at once. So no, what I did in the IWM was not a box order. It was me kind of trying to figure out what I thought a measured move would look like in the IWM and actually being in front of it. I was being conservative on it. And then based on my game plan that I kind of already have, which says that I want to be buying a little bit on the way down, covering my short on the way down, but adding, so again, I'm short the IWM coming into today. So I have a game plan for booking profit on the downside. And I also had a game plan in place for if the scenario happened where the number came in light and we ripped to, SPY 546 as an example, which is the area that I really want to be getting heavier. So my plan with my IWM and my TQQQ was to, book profit on the way down, somewhat incrementally, and add to my short on the way up. But in front of such a big event, what I did was instead of, let's say, buying back some IWM every 25 cents down or shorting additional IWM every 25 cents up, I clustered all those bids much lower and I clustered all those offers much higher. So instead of, off of what's probably going to be a really big move, just going back here, instead of just, the numbers coming out and we're trading at 209.50, instead of having bids out to cover some at 209, if I'm doing it every 25 cents, 209.25, 209, 208.75, 208.50, 208.25, 208, 207.75, etc. I said to myself, I'm going to cluster all those bids at a lower price. So if the plan was to, again, cover 209, do it every 25 cents, 209.25, 209, 208.75, etc., all the way down to 207.25. That was bid 207.26. That would be 400, 500, 6. That'd be 700 shares. So instead of buying 100 shares every 25 cents on the way down, I just basically clustered a 700 share bid at 207.29, and then same thing on the upside. Instead of just shorting 100 shares every 25 cents up, knowing it's going to be a really big move, I tried to cluster the offer out at like 211.49 to get all that stock all at once. And again, just didn't get the fill by a few pennies, which sucks, but it is what it is. There's been other times where I've gotten lucky, and I've gotten filled at exact lows and exact highs, kind of based on my estimates of how the market could move on a number or an earnings report or whatever. So sometimes I got lucky. This was a time where I just didn't get lucky on those fills. Any other questions? How good of a trade was today's midday pivot at the failed high? This one up here where you and I were shorting, I think we communicated a little bit at like 12:05. I think it was what I liked about the trade was the context of where the spies were getting to on the big picture. To me, that was the most important thing. In the morning meeting, I really said 545 to 546, not 546 specifically, but 545. We get up there, that would be the spot where we're starting to hit extreme extension. That's where I want to look to short. So, as I think you know, I like to combine the big picture with the small picture, and when I feel like things are lining up, that's what I like the most. So you had a decent amount of upside extension on a 5-minute chart for 12 o'clock as you're approaching the beginning of the extreme extension zone on the big picture. So, and I just really didn't think we could get continuation. So I liked the idea of putting that short on. It is still a counter trend short on the 5-minute chart, and we have to recognize as we're taking that the way that this market has been trading, we've been getting these big continuations in intraday, and that was one thing that we talked about actually in yesterday's afternoon meeting. for some people who are, trying to short the SPYs on the way up in the face of this uptrend, that it was very, very difficult to do so, and that right now we're not really in a mean reverting market environment like we had been in June and July. We're in a market environment that has the capacity to continue to extend further on the intraday chart. But again, combining the intraday with the daily chart reaching extreme extension, it made me like it more, still being a little bit nervous about the fact that it is very possible for the SPYs to do what they did yesterday and just continue to move higher. But when you can combine this little signal that comes in off that pivot high at 1205 with the 5-minute extension, so you can say to yourself, you know what, even if we do continue to trend higher on the intraday, I can probably snipe myself some short money here. So let me do that. But then with the big picture, instead of just being fully out by the ADMA on the 5, let me hold a smaller percentage of the position to see if I can actually get a bigger move lower based on where we're getting to in the daily chart. Because this daily chart, we could easily pull back to 539, if not more than that. So that sets you up with a better risk reward on a smaller percentage of the position here. So how good of a trade was it? It's hard to characterize it as an A+ type of trade, just because of what I said earlier about us being in an environment where we are really seeing trend continuation on the intraday. But there was a lot of things that lined up here between the big picture and the small picture that made it a pretty solid trade. So I definitely liked it. And again, I think it was worth holding a piece for the bigger daily chart move. And if we didn't close well, if we closed at 542 or less, I would say that it probably would be even worth swinging 10 to 15% of the position short. But we closed so well that it's hard to do that. Thanks for the question, Dennis. From Ben on Starbucks. Yeah, inside day in Starbucks, but I'm still looking at a stock that's trading at $94 with the ADMA at 83.25. So for me, I probably think that this thing is going to need more time still to heal and rest. So, waiting on that one. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Have a great night, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Retail sales.